Hello students, today we are going to cover an important chapter of class 8 civics, which is Parliament and the Making of Laws. Now before starting the chapter, let me introduce myself a little bit. So I am Raghav Daksh, currently pursuing History Honours from University of Delhi College of Vocational Studies. Now let's start our chapter with the topic, why should people decide? In India, when India became independent on 15th August 1947, after a long struggle for freedom, in which many people participated, the main ideas that guided them were freedom, equality, and participation in the decision making. So, when the Indians were fighting for the freedom before independence against Britishers, so what happened was the main idea, that key factor that was included in the demand of people was freedom, equality, and participation in the decision making. So they wanted to criticize government and they wanted to take part in the governing process, but they were not able to. Under British rule, people could not easily criticize the government. They lived in fear and could be punished for speaking out. Okay, so there was a punishment. So nobody was allowed to criticize the British government. The freedom movement led to more voices demanding rights and elected members in the legislature. But under the British, not everyone got to vote. So the freedom movement took place, and more voices came up demanding rights and elected members in the legislature, that we also want to take part in the governing process, no. But under the British, not everyone got to vote. So after independence, Indian nationalists wanted all adults to have the right to take part in the decisions for the country. This was included in the constitution as universal adult franchise, meaning every adult citizen can vote. So after the independence, after 1947, Indian nationalists wanted all adults, means the people who are above the age of 18 are allowed to take part in the decision making process. And how? By casting their vote. And this was included in the constitution as universal adult franchise. Now, how do people participate? In a democracy, the government needs the approval, which is consent of people. People are the most important. The government and other public institution must have their trust. So people are the most important or the key factor in a democracy in a country like India. Because we as a people decide the government, decide our leader. One important way people give approval is by voting in the elections. People elect representatives to the parliament, and then these representatives form the government. So people, the civilians, approve by casting their vote to a particular candidate, and they select their representative to the parliament, and then these representatives form their government at the center. So parliament is made up of all elected representatives. It controls and guides the government on behalf of the people. Who are representatives and how are they chosen? An MLA, which is also known as Member of Legislative Assembly, elected by people from a specific area, or we can say constituency, to represent them. So there are multiple constituencies in India, for example, Bihar, Assam, or Agra, etc. So what happens is that people cast their vote to MLAs, okay, and in the constituency a particular leader wins, and then the parliament, which has Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, is at the central, or we can say the national level, while the state legislative assembly, which is known as Vidhan Sabha, is at the state level. In a representative democracy, people do not take every decision directly. Instead, they elect representatives to make decisions for everyone. So in a representative democracy like India, people do not take every decision directly. Instead, we elect our own representatives to make decisions for us. Now, what's the importance of universal adult franchise? Universal adult franchise means every adult in the country can vote. Every person who is above the age of 18 is allowed to cast their vote. Now, this is a basic feature of democracy and ensures everyone can participate. Representatives are elected for a fixed term. Usually it's 5 years, not for life, so they remain accountable to voters. Because if they won't do the work according to the public, people will not vote for them. Now, other ways of participating beside elections: people can express their approval or disapproval of the government's action in other ways, such as organizing rallies, campaigns, writing in newspapers, or protesting peacefully. Now, what is Parliament and why does it? What does it do? The Parliament of India is the highest lawmaking body. It has two houses, the Rajya Sabha, which is known as Council of States, and the Lok Sabha, which is known as House of the People. Now, Rajya Sabha has up to 250 members and is chaired by the Vice President. And meanwhile, the Lok Sabha has 543 members and is led by the Speaker. And Lok Sabha is also known as House of the People. Now, how are members elected to Parliament? The country is divided into constituencies and each constituency elects one member to the Lok Sabha. Now, elections are usually held every 5 years. So, every 5 years the election takes place and the country is divided into constituencies and each constituency elect their member, their representative to the Lok Sabha. Now, understanding election results. A political party needs more than half of the total seats, at least 272 out of 543 in Lok Sabha to form the government. So parties who do not join the ruling party or the coalition become the opposition. So if a party gets 272 or more than 272 votes out of 543 in Lok Sabha, it will create their own government. And the parties who do not join the ruling party or they do not form any kind of coalition, means joining some other party, then they become the opposition. Functions of Parliament. A. Selecting the national government. So after elections, MPs, which are member of Parliament, are counted for each party. The party or coalition with the majority forms the government. So after elections, member of Parliament are counted for each party, and the party, or if there is any coalition, the joining of two parties with the majority forms the government. The Prime Minister is the leader of the ruling party in Lok Sabha and chooses ministers, which are the cabinet ministers particularly, to help in different areas like health, education, finance, defense, etc. Sometimes no party gets majority, then several parties come together to form a coalition government. They join together and their total votes will be counted and then they will be able to form their government. Now, another function of the Parliament is controlling, guiding and informing the government. Question hour is a special time in Parliament when MPs can ask questions to the government. This helps keep the government accountable and lets it know the views of the people. So, in order to criticize the government, in order to oppose the government, there is a question hour where there is a special time in Parliament when MPs, all the members of Parliament, can ask questions to the government. The opposition parties play an important role in pointing out faults and suggesting changes to the policies. So opposition party is there and MPs are also there who can question the Prime Minister or the government that is there directly. Now, how are new laws made? Parliament makes new laws often based on issues raised by different groups in society. It's important for Parliament to be sensitive to people's problem. Example, the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. So the law against domestic violence began with real life stories of women suffering abuse at home. Women's group, lawyers and activists discussed and drafted a new law, making sure it covered all types of abuse, which included physical, emotional, economical, etc. So they organized meetings, wrote petitions and asked Parliament to make a new law. The first draft was not accepted by activists, so they protested, organized press conferences and lobbied Parliament. Parliament listened to these demands, made changes and finally passed a new law. The law recognizes women's right to live in a shared household, gets a protection order and receive financial help if needed. So what's happening is that if there is an issue in our country, then the issue is raised by activists and lawyers and even certain groups, then the discussion takes place in Parliament and then the Parliament decides if the law is to be made or not. The importance of citizen role. Law often come about because citizens raise urgent issues through protest, media and public discussion. So if a problem is there in the society, then people will raise concern through protest, media and public discussions or even in news channels. Once a law is passed, citizens and media can still question, criticize and protest if a law is unpopular or unfair. Parliament must listen to people's concern and sometimes change or remove laws based on public feedback. So if people don't like it, they will question it, they will call it unfair and then the discussion will take place and Parliament will decide if the law is to be removed. Unpopular laws. Sometimes a law may be legal but people find it unfair. Example includes laws that make street vending illegal. affecting people's ability to earn a living. So citizens may protest, campaign, write in newspaper, or go to courts if they believe law is unfair. The role of opposition and civil protestants. History shows many examples where people and communities protested against unfair or repressive laws. Protesting, holdings, public meetings, and using the media help demonstrate people's disapproval and can lead to changes in laws. So, people have power in the democracy. People should question the government and they should understand what is the law and what is this law about, so they'll be able to analyze and they'll be able to question the government. So protesting, holding public meetings, and using the media help demonstrate people's disapproval, and it can lead to changes in the law. So we as a people decide our own government and we can even question the government. Yeah, so this was all about this chapter. I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. You can ask any doubt if you have any in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel for more such videos, and we'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.